Do you have trouble seeing enemies from far away? Do you suffer from low FPS that ultimately makes you lose fights and not want to play the game at all? Luckily enough, you've come to the right place, as these are the best settings you need for Marvel Rivals on PC. Now when it comes to display mode, aspect ratio, and resolution, if you struggle on performance, use full screen. This allows you to change your aspect ratio and your resolution. If your PC can withstand borderless window and you do a lot of multitasking, then I recommend borderless window. But this is all preference, and if you lack performance, that's my best recommendation that I can give to you, is to use full screen if you lack performance. Now when it comes to anti-aliasing and super resolution type, I have a 3070, so it depends on what type of graphics card you have. Typically, I would be playing TAAU to get even more FPS, but right now we're using NVIDIA DLSS. For super resolution mode, I use performance. You can use ultra performance. This just gives us various improvements. Although if you want the game picture and game quality to be very nice, well, quality and ultra quality is probably the best. Most of the time you want to use balance, but if you really want hard FPS, then performance is the way to go, even though you're sacrificing quality to get more frames. Now another tip is to change your monitor res to 1080p, which could seem sacrilegious to some people. From there, use TAAU. Then change your render scaling all the way down to 50. It makes your game not look, amazing, but the amount of FPS you actually gain from it is very good. So if you're really struggling with FPS, I would recommend, testing and trying this out for yourself. Most of the time it's going to be a preference thing. Again, you're sacrificing a lot of quality in the game for performance, but gamers like us usually prefer performance over quality than anything, so might as well do it. Now when it comes to frame generation mode, I highly encourage you to turn this off, because you actually get a lot more input lag from what I've noticed through various different games. But again, you can test for yourself if your FPS is rising or dropping with this turned on or off. Again, I wouldn't really recommend having it on though. So now when it comes to low latency mode, enabling low latency mode reduces game image delay. Most of the time, I don't think this is a necessity to have on, but it's just completely up to you. Most of the time, you want to have it off because it could make you have more input lag, even though it says it fixes this. So it's optional. Again, you want to keep track of what your FPS is by showing FPS here. Very easy to do. Now, when it comes to brightness, brightness is completely personal. I usually have mine a little bit higher than other people would say. Also, I recommend turning up your saturation just a little bit on your monitor settings, which you can easily do, and I'll show you later on in the video how to do that. Now, of course, Show FPS is our tooltip that allows you to keep track of the FPS your game is running at, so you can adjust in-game, the FPS standard. Then you come to network stats. It's the same thing as, Show FPS. It can tell you like the input delay you're getting, things like that. Now, VSync. Now when it comes to VSync, if you have a lot of screen tearing, I recommend turning it on. If you don't have screen tearing, don't have it on because you get a lot of input lag with it. So best case scenario, have it off unless you have screen tearing. Now when it comes to graphics, Marvel Rivals is an Unreal Engine 5 game. That means it's very CPU intensive. So your CPU is going to be getting eaten away while you're playing this game, unfortunately. The best way to improve the quality overall is to upgrade your CPU. But of course, if you don't have the money or budget for that, I recommend turning on graphics quality, setting this to low, everything gets turned to low. One thing I recommend you doing though is global illumination, putting that to low quality as well. That's not a preset when you put on low, so put that to low quality. Now when it comes to the audio of the game, I have IEMs, or I have in-ears, so my audio is on the lower scale so I don't blow my eardrums out. Lobby ambience is off, it's not necessarily needed. Next up we have music and lobby music. Both of these are off. Even though the music in this game is very good, I have them off as it's just better. Following that, we have output. Playback mode is headphones. 3D enhancement, I have this off. I never liked the 3D enhancement. I don't think it's that really good. And there's a lot of errors with 3D enhancement in Windows for whatever reason. Playback if you need it. Then when it comes to voice chat or voice chat mode is set to push and talk because no one wants to be hearing a football game in the background while you're playing Marvel Rivals. Voice chat volume, I have mine to 8 so my ears don't get blown out by my teammates. Mic volume, 80. This is the default that you get. and this is what your voice sounds like to other people. I have voice chat on so I can hear people. Voice over subtitles can be useful because it tells you when people are going in, which can be very useful to you. So it's something I would highly consider turning on. Now when it comes to combat mix, everything is default, being healed, healing others, all of that is the same. There is one thing that's automatically turned off though, by default. It's the KO sound cue. I highly encourage you to turn both of these on. The announcer notifies you when your teammate is knocked out or enemy is knocked out, and it gives you a better picture of who's alive on your team without necessarily having to press tab. It's something that a lot of people seem to miss, and I highly encourage you to turn it on. Now when it comes to the keyboard, everything is preference. Say with your mouse horizontal, mouse vertical. I'm 400 DPI, so my sense might seem a little higher to others. Now when it comes to the HUD and reticle, I'll give you the code and I'll show you how to set it up. And then for the HUD widget size, I have mine on small. As you can see, I go default. It makes the size of the UI bigger or smaller. I prefer it on the smaller side so my screen isn't super cluttered. When it comes to allied health bars, if you're playing a healer or anything like that, having it always on is very useful, and this allows to know when your teammates are on low HP. And when it comes to crosshair, this is pretty standard, it's just a plus. And you go reticle type, go to crosshairs, and then to get to advanced, press this plus button. There you get all the settings and options you can change with the crosshair. So reticle animation, you have it on. You can see it spreads when you shoot. Have it off. I just like a static crosshair in all my games. Width is 15. Dot width 15. Crosshair width 15 as well. Of course, you can feel free to pause whenever. And I'll also have the code at the bottom of the screen or in the description. All you have to do is go to here. You would do import save from the code and then to save it. So then go reticle opacity, go to details. I have dot opacity 0 because I don't like the dots. Crosshair opacity is 100. Outline width is 0. Go to details. This is 0 dot outline width. Crosshair outline width is 0. Outline opacity is 100. Then dot opacity doesn't matter. We don't have a dot on our screen. Crosshair opacity. If you want a little darker, you put it 100. If you don't want it dark around the edges, put it to 0. Pretty self-explanatory. I don't do blur. If you blur it, it looks like that. Center gap is set to 0. If you increase the center gap, you can see it gets bigger and smaller. I have mine at 0 because again, I just like a static crosshair. Then crosshair length, I have mine at 11. You increase it, it gets bigger, goes smaller. Usually I sit around the smaller size because again, too much clutter on my screen just makes me not pay attention as well, so we have it set to that. Now when it comes to character specific settings, there's a couple I recommend. First, head over to the change hero. Again, I'm clicking here, change hero, all heroes. There you can set, preferences for every single character. Firstly, come to Venom. Once you're at Venom, make sure you have them selected again. Scroll down. Easy swing. Turn this off. It states when enabled, the ability will automatically select available grappling points to initiate swinging. This means the second you press shift or whatever your grapple button is, it will automatically connect to any surface when you have it on. We want it off because we want the freedom to grapple from anywhere we want. Having it off allows for a ton of easy movement, and this makes you a lot faster. Then when it comes to a character like Adam Warlock, hit confirm, change to Adam Warlock. I would turn enable a special animation on the reticle when healing. It lets you know when you're actually healing teammates. Then I'm pretty sure like all healers have this, so I would recommend going into all the heroes and changing that, or all the healers. Then another thing you can do is come to Spider-Man, and just like Venom, he has a ton of options for swinging. Hold to swing, automatic swing. So this is, the automatic swing is similar to Venom's easy swing, so you can turn that off so it's just easier. Display attack range, you want this on because it allows you to know if you're close enough to hit a melee. Hold to swing is completely optional. If you have it off, it's toggle. If you have it on, it's hold. Pretty self-explanatory, things like that. It's just the little things that you should look out for. Now what's really nice when it comes to accessibility, they have a ton of colorblind options. And what's also cool As you hit F1, you can preview it, you know, something that a lot of games miss out on that I think should be needed. So if you change it, you can see how everything's going to be looking depending on your colorblind or if you just want to have it. But most of the time, I always keep everything default except for my enemy color, because for whatever reason, I always have trouble seeing red, which is like the default. And usually I put like pink or pinkish purple. It just allows, you know, enemies to get highlighted easier because sometimes red can blend in. Now when it comes to any type of melee character, characters like Iron Fist or Magic benefit greatly from this. See how I'm out of range and I can't close the gap with the, you know, passive, the dash in when you melee? As I move forward, you see this circle appearing. That means if I primary attack, I can connect a shot or connect a hit. The second I'm out of it, can't do it. Close, I see the circle, I can hit. Same goes with like using abilities and other things. You can easily fix this problem by heading over to settings, making sure you have your character selected, Iron Fist, and putting on display attack range. That's how you get the circle. And if you come to Magic as well, where's Magic? You also have that same setting, which can benefit, you know, greatly to you if you're having trouble with not knowing where your hits will actually land on characters. This is something that a lot of people skip or might not know of, that, you know, if you're having trouble with, you know, melee focused characters, it can greatly help you. Now that we're done with all the game tweaking, let's come to the desktop screen. So right click, go to NVIDIA control panel. It'll take a second to load up. Program settings, go specifically to, from there click add, go to Marvel Rivals, add select program. From there you can fine tune everything. So you have things have like anti-aliasing mode off, you can have gamma correction, image scaling, max frame rate. You have everything that you can fine tune if you really want to go through the hassle of making sure your game is very, you know, performance based rather than anything. Another thing, like I previously stated, come to adjust video color. There you can change your saturation, which most of the time I recommend changing your saturation. It's just with the video player settings, but if you do in the video settings, you can do it yourself and change it to however you see fit. Most of the time I have mine set to 70, and this makes, you know, in-game look better. But anyways, those were my settings that I think will heavily benefit you in Marvel Rivals. And yes, there is a high performance engine that you could tweak and mess around with and download, but I don't like messing with that stuff too much. But anyways, if you're new here or find yourself coming back on the regular and you aren't already subscribed to it, why not? You're coming back anyways, and well, it's completely free. And if this video has helped you in any way, shape, or form, do me a favor and hit that like button. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.